Give it a few weeks.
Personally, I wish Anthony Albanese would take his entire team on holiday, and I wish they'd go on a 3-year holiday because the damage they are doing to this country is unbelievable. The referendum is going to split the country down the middle. It is a racist referendum. We've seen the damage they've already done to Indigenous Australians. Let's talk about the Teals and Jacinta Price and the cashless debit card. The cashless debit card, which I haven't been to remote Indigenous communities, but Jacinta Price is adamant that the cashless debit card, introduced by the coalition in the last term a couple of terms ago, has done wonders for helping women and children in these communities. Now, you've got to take the word of someone like Jacinta Price, who's their member and who lives and works with them. So when she says that maybe, you shouldn't be cancelling us, there's your voice from the Indigenous community. Listen to it. But the Teals and Albanese and the Labor Party tearing up not just one, but other ideas, other policies which are beneficial to Indigenous communities.
But, Rowan, this gets to the absolute heart of the problem with the voice, and I know you're going to be talking a lot more about it a bit later in the show, but this is the problem. Which voice? Whose voice?
Exactly.
Who are the people? And you know that it is going to be the left-wing activist class that's going to be behind this, guys, and they are not going to have the interest necessarily of these people who it's supposed to help at heart. But as Albanese himself said, it's not going to be a third chamber, but it is going to be an organization that any parliament would ignore at their peril.
Exactly.
So what does that
Rita,
tell you?
Well, it is going to be a third chamber. And Albanese did a very strange interview with the News Corp papers yesterday where, no, this isn't going to lead to reparations. It's not a third chamber. But then in the body of the interview, he talks about how this is just a first step. Yes. And then we will have a truth-telling and we will have a treaty. And obviously,
and those words are so Orwellian.
Yeah.
Truth-telling. For a start, the left doesn't believe there's a truth. Anyone can have their truth. Meghan Markle had her truth and someone else has their truth. That's the left wing. But anyway, they're going, there will be truth-telling. Oh, I wonder whose truth that would be. Oh, hang on. It'll be the left wing's version of the truth that comes through any truth-telling exercise.
Can I give some rare praise to Monique Ryan?
Yes, please. Let's talk about that.
The Teal, because Jacinta Price has invited the Teals to come to these remote communities, speak to the women there who this cashless debit card has helped, who've been able to put food on the table, who've been able to take care of their kids because the money isn't being squandered by people within the family who've got other priorities. Now, Monique Ryan has agreed to go to these communities and see for herself.
Fantastic
and I think
news.
You've got to praise that because at least she's interested enough to do that. But the fact that Jacinta Price's voice is being completely dismissed by not just the Albanese government, but her own Indigenous Affairs Minister, who seems to be working overtime to get this referendum over the line. I mean, if the Liberals cannot, on principle, object to this race-based referendum, then really what is the point of them?
Well, exactly. Opposition's opposed. That's what they must be doing. As I said, I will be mentioning this later, but Julian Leeser has to go. Get rid of him. Put Jacinta Price into that role. Now, the genius of the taking the Teals out to the outback to actually see the problems caused is superb. Remember how Tony Abbott used to take the entire cabinet out there into remote communities. But, the problem, of course, the Teals will all be sitting there going, I don't know. I don't think my electric vehicle will get me out that far. How am I going to get there? What if I run out? So there's a problem there for the Teals.
They can all get into Zali's four-wheel drive.
Diesel, four-wheel drive and head out there. Oh, but don't worry, folks. Don't worry. Monash University are having mandatory Indigenous voice courses. Isn't that called propaganda, James?
Well, yeah, of course it's called propaganda, and that's exactly what we are staring down the barrel of, guys. We are staring down the barrel of a campaign from the corporates, from the universities, from much of the media led by the ABC to basically shame anybody who comes out and says, I don't know that it's such a good idea to go and put race in the Constitution to privilege one group or another group because of who their ancestors were. I mean, we are staring at this. The Liberal Party, the coalition, needs to absolutely come out and provide cover for people who want, we were talking before to Harry Miller and Lawrence Fox about being the tip of the spear. People who say, I don't think this is a great idea, they need to know that they are going to be supported because Anthony Albanese has said this is about good manners. Well, no, it's not about good manners. It's about calling people who disagree with you racist. This is the whole thing that's going to happen if the libs. Do not listen to Jacinta Price. You know, there are some people out there who are saying they're going to lead a campaign against this. Pauline Hanson, I spoke with her last week. She is going to be out there. But people who say no, and there's a lot of them out there. I read the comments on the news stories, listen to people on Talkback Radio. They all say no. The general public, I think, is very concerned about this, but they don't feel like they will be protected if they come out and say that publicly.
Well, this is going to be worse than Brexit. As we saw with Brexit, that was the narrative, that if you're for Brexit, you must either be racist or you hate immigrants or you're uneducated or you're mean. And we saw the corporates, we saw celebrities, we saw this massive campaign that was not just political, it really went down deep into the culture. And we're already seeing it. We've got major corporation CEOs coming out and opining on this thing that has absolutely nothing to do with the running of their business.
Well,
these businesses that said not a word about things like tax policy, things about monetary policy that actually impact their businesses, they want to have a say on this, just like they did with other social issues.